So the Denton Waterworks Park underwent a renovation. We actually had bond money that focused on the completion of a wave pool project. We added a wave pool here in 2017. It opened in July. The wave pool was a really interesting project for us because it added a new amenity to a park that was built in 2003. And it was something that the public really wanted. Obviously, it was funded by bonds and it was front loaded into the packages. So it was a really big deal. Whenever we went out to look at our equipment that we were wanting in there, we came across this wave generation machine that was incredible. It was able to produce 8 different kinds of waves. And when we started doing our research, it was really difficult to find another organization or agency that had the same kind of equipment that we were getting in. So we began putting together our operational strategies towards the end of the construction phase. And at that time, we had decided to convert and move to HydroApps during the beginning of the summer of 2017, anticipating the opening of this wave pool. At that time, we were moving from paper documentation to digital. It was the first time for us to do this. And so we didn't quite trust everything. We were doing a paper incident accident report for every single rescue on top of a digital one. So it kind of slowed down the process a little bit. But that was kind of our test and trial year. The goal of that year and what we really wanted out of HydroApps was to create something that was customizable for our facility. So we built out everything, every single area that was in our facility that you could have an injury or an accident to. I mean, we really did spend a little bit more money up front in order to get something that was going to live with this park for a long time to come. And so we did. We ended up building out, I've got 6 lifeguard stands on our wave pool. So I wanted to build in a schedule for each one of those stands. If we had a rescue or a save at any one of those places, I, as an operator, wanted to know exactly where that was going to happen at, so that at the end of the season, whenever I pulled all of our rescue data, incident, accident data, I wanted to know, and the goal of having HydroApps in the first place for me was to know what kind of areas were the most severe, which ones saw the most action, and what kind of injuries did we have happening, and was there some trends that I could start predicting or start seeing at our facilities using this software. I wanted it to be something where I could just pull it really quickly and not have to spend hours upon hours of my time going back through handwritten documents and, love my teenagers. Sometimes I couldn't really read their handwriting. So it took away a lot of the time and effort that I was spending in that in order to go digital. We ended up having tubes in our wave pool. That's kind of what was happening during that time in this industry. And the kind of waves that we ended up getting with our software, with our wave generation equipment, they were very fun. However, they're also very volatile. And what I found at the end of the season was that there was an operational adjustment that we needed to make on our end, because the kinds of incidents and the accidents and injuries that were happening mostly had to do with a very certain specific area in that wave pool. And a lot of the people who were having these injuries were on tubes. And so it gave us the ability to review all of our findings with our risk management department. We had, quantitative data that we could bring to them saying, hey, guess what? Here's what we're seeing. Here, it's black and white. And we made an adjustment for the following season so that we could run our heavier hitting waves that the public loved, but we did have to take out the tubes. But ever since then, the majority of our rescues since that following season have all been walkouts. And so we were able to improve the functionality of that pool. We were able to improve the functionality of the lifeguard teams, the responses, and we were able to control the kind of rescues that we were having to make, which was really important. And that was one of the best things that's come out of HydroApps in general and going digital with our rescue and injury logs. So whenever I did the review at the end of that first season, we were able to look at which stand had the most potential for rescue. And it turns out that I have one stand in particular out of all 3 of my areas, the Waterworks Park, Natatorium, and Civic Center pool, one stand, you have a 74% chance of going off of every single time you sit on that stand. And so that's how we train our staff. I'm able to point to every single stand saying, guess what? The majority of injuries happen off this one. You have a 74% chance of going off this stand. Let's drill. And we do that for all of our stands, obviously, but when they get up there, they know the expectation is be ready to go at all times, especially with these areas, because we're able to pinpoint exactly what's happening, what is the cause of it. Most of the time it's the wave type and the way that it breaks due to the geometry of the pool, and prepare them more or less, so to speak, especially as your new ones. Your new ones are so hesitant sometimes, and that first rescue is such a big deal. And it's just being able to prepare your staff for what's coming and make it seem that, you know what, it's going to happen. just be cool, just look for certain objects or look for certain activities or behaviors, and it's going to be okay. We're constantly trying to figure out ways to make a very technical and complex industry simplified for people to understand quickly, whether that's for our public to gather, a lot of information and absorb it so that they understand a little bit of what we do and have understanding and compassion whenever they come out to our aquatic facilities and see our staff, or if it's for us as managers trying to train the new generation of staff to be able to pick up on a very complex thing quickly so that they can then do their job. One of the successes from HydroApps that has helped us is the fact that anytime that we have a fecal or vomit incident, that documentation is required to go to our health department. We do our incident report. We have a very specific report for that. And as soon as we hit submit, it actually goes directly to health department. We don't have to sit here and use fax machines. We don't have to mail anything in. It's directly fed straight to the departments that we need it to. So that's another really big benefit and an efficiency that was served by having this documentation.